All right, today we're going to break down one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, controversial institutions in Pakistan's media landscape. We're talking about PEMRA. You know that feeling you're sitting there watching the news and then poof, the channel just vanishes from your screen? It's a really strange moment. So, who has the power to just flip that switch? Well, the answer to that question is really at the heart of what we're talking about today. That entity is PEMRA. That's short for the Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority. You can think of them as the gatekeeper for pretty much all private media. We're talking everything from your favorite TV drama to the radio station you tune into on your way to work. PEMRA is the one setting the rules for all of it. Okay, so let's start with the basics. What exactly is this media watchdog supposed to be doing? So, PEMRA was set up way back on March 1st, 2002, and its mission on paper was kind of two-sided. On one hand, it was supposed to facilitate the private media industry, help it grow. And on the other hand, it was meant to regulate it, basically keep it in check. This was a huge deal at the time, because it was all about opening up Pakistan's airwaves, which up until then were pretty much completely dominated by the state. Right, so every big organization has a mission statement, a list of goals it's supposed to be aiming for. So let's take a look at what PEMRA officially says its job is. And here's their official motto: improving the standards of information, education, and entertainment. It's a pretty simple and powerful goal, right? In a perfect world, this is exactly what they'd be focused on. But it actually goes a lot deeper than just the quality of shows. When you look at their constitutional mandate, you see it's about a whole lot more. It's about giving people in Pakistan more choices in what they watch and listen to. It's about pushing power down to the local level. And this is a big one, it's about making sure there's accountability and transparency, all through a free flow of information. I mean, these are the core pillars that PEMRA is supposed to be built on. But, as is often the case with these big, powerful regulators, there can be a massive gap between the official mission and how people actually experience its power. And this is where the story gets, well, really complicated. So what are its actual powers? Well, first, PEMRA is the one that issues licenses. You want to start a satellite TV channel, a cable network, an FM radio station, you have to go through them. Second, they regulate how everyone operates by enforcing a code of conduct. And third, they handle complaints. They have a whole public system for it. So when you put it all together, that is a ton of control over the entire media landscape. And of course, that kind of control invites some really, really sharp criticism. Take this quote from journalist Matiullah John. He calls PEMRA a bata body. Now, for those who don't know, bata is a term for extortion. So he's basically saying it's just an organization that legally extorts money from broadcasters. It's a pretty damning view that paints a picture that is miles away from that official mandate we just talked about. And this really highlights that whole ideal versus reality conflict. So on one side, you have the mandate, enlarge media choice. But then you look at the criticism, it's failed to launch the country's direct-to-home service, that's DTH, even though the auction for it was way back in 2016. For context, neighboring India launched its DTH in 2003. Then you have the other mandate, ensure free flow of information. But the criticism is that it's often been used as a tool to, quote, tame the media, especially back in the Musharraf era. Okay, so to really get why these criticisms are so persistent, we kind of have to rewind and look at PEMRA's history, how it started, and the key moments that have really shaped what it is today. So it all starts in 2002, when PEMRA was established by an ordinance under President Musharraf. Now, the fact that it was born under a military government immediately shaped how people saw it. Many viewed it as an instrument of control from day one. During that whole era, its laws were often used in attempts to tame the media. Then you fast forward to 2016, you've got that DTH license auction that just never went anywhere. Then in 2022, PEMRA flexes its muscle and suspends the broadcast of major news channels like ARY News and Bull News, which, brings us right back to that question we asked at the very beginning. And the most recent chapter? That's the PEMRA Amendment Act, passed in 2023, which is seen as an attempt to reform the whole thing. When you really zoom out, this whole story of PEMRA, it's not just about one regulator. It's actually a perfect example of a much bigger, much more fundamental debate, and it's a debate that's happening all over the world. And in Pakistan, you can find this debate written right into the Constitution itself. It all comes down to Article 19. You can think of it as the legal battleground, where the ideal of a free press goes head-to-head with the power of the state. I mean, just look at this. On one side, you have this incredible promise. Every citizen shall have the right to freedom of speech and expression, and there shall be freedom of the press. Sounds great, right? But then You look at the other side, it's a whole list of reasonable restrictions. The state can put limits on that freedom for all sorts of reasons, for the glory of Islam, for national security, for public order, decency. The list goes on. And that's the real issue, isn't it? The massive gray area is in that word, reasonable. And it's in that gray area that PEMRA has to operate, which is why there's just constant tension. So really, this whole thing boils down to one fundamental and incredibly difficult question. How do you strike the right balance? How does a nation protect its security, its values, its stability, while at the same time making sure its people have access to information and can hold their leaders accountable? The story of PEMRA, with all its complexities and controversies, really shows us that there are absolutely no easy answers.